Senate negotiators are hopeful they can reach a deal on a gun reform deal by the end of this week. Senator Chris Murphy, the top Democrat in the talks, says the conversation is focused on background checks, red flag laws, mental health, and school security. The Senate's top Republican, Mitch McConnell, has endorsed the negotiations and says he's hoping for a bipartisan outcome. Joining us now, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. Senator Klobuchar is a member of the Judiciary Committee, and thank you so much for being on the show, Amy.
Thanks, Mika.
What kind of deal are you hoping to get?
Strong as deal as we can, something that'll actually make a difference, because if it doesn't make a difference, it's not worth doing. And I think the negotiators understand that. I have personally spoken with both Senator Murphy, I've talked to Senator Cornyn, and I know they're working hard on this. Just to step back, I appreciated what you said, Mika, about the individual police officers. Certainly we saw this during the insurrection. Major deadly mistakes can be made at the top, but it doesn't necessarily reflect on what the individual officers would have done. But the other piece of it, which I think, Joe, you got into, is just that these assault weapons shouldn't be in the hands of 18-year-olds. So I have urged my colleagues, I'm for an assault weapon ban, okay? And I come from a strong hunting state, Minnesota. But if they're not going to do that, at least look at the 18 to 21-year-old ban with, by the way, Matthew McConaughey wrote a really good piece recently in USA Today. He's from Uvalde. He spent the whole week there with his wife. And I think people need to listen to other voices on this. And this idea of going from 18 to 21 would be a game changer when you look at Buffalo, when you look at what just happened in Texas, because of the fact, not in every shooting, but because of the fact that you've got young kids looking at the internet all day, getting targeted with ads for assault weapons, and making those snap decisions to go out and buy an assault weapon. And it is a really bad idea to put those guns in those young hands unless there's someone who's in the military and has been trained.
So Senator, if you can help us out, I asked Jonathan Lemire earlier, and, you know, I grew up in southern states. Most people I knew had guns, had, you know, shotguns, hunting rifles. For the life of me, I can't understand why any Republican would block debate on a discussion of moving the age from 18 to 21 to buy a weapon of war. And I can guarantee you, and I've said it time and again, I can guarantee you the majority of people that I grew up with in the Deep South who go hunting every fall, who have been hunting their entire life, would agree with me.
Exactly. I always say my Uncle Dick doesn't need an AR-15 in his deer stand, and he's hunted his whole life. And we have many, many responsible gun owners that support doing something on background checks, on assault weapons, doing something when it comes to magazine limits, on ghost guns. The people are with us on this, closing the boyfriend loophole for domestic abusers, which is my bill. And my colleagues, are going to have to muster the courage to take on the old ways and actually move forward for the people of this country. And if we can't get a strong enough deal here that actually does something, we will, of course, continue pushing this all the way to the ballot box in the fall. The people are with us. They have had enough.
Good morning, Senator Klobuchar. Your colleague, Senator Murphy, has gone out of his way on this show over the last week or so and in other public places to say that he believes Republicans have come to the table in good faith, that he hasn't seen this much energy or participation on the Republican side, though the bar may be low for that on this issue, in a long time or maybe ever. Do you share that sentiment? Do you believe that something meaningful will come out of this conversation?
Yes, I have a lot of faith in Chris, and I had dinner with about 5 or 6 of them and talked about this for 3 hours last night. So I believe there is some movement, and they're interested in moving ahead. But again, it's going to be, I hope it'll be a combination of different things, because we know that not every shooting is the same. Not every motivation is the same. But we have just stood back and done nothing. And I thought Joe's point about the Supreme Court and the Heller case was really a good one. Basically, they opened the door for Congress doing something about this. They specifically said in a number of cases that Congress could put in some reasonable rules and regulations. And basically, our colleagues have walked and chosen not to do this. Well, this is the moment. The door is open. Just like that school kids, that shooter walked right into their classroom and killed them down and gunned them down, and they had no defense. Well, now that door is open for them to walk in and finally do something about it.
Senator Klobuchar, good morning. Jonathan Lemire, you're speaking about how there's been some buy-in from some Republicans, but not all Republicans, at least not totally. It's been noted that Senate Minority Leader McConnell, when asked about Uvalde in situations like this, including the negotiations that you're a part of, keeps focusing on mental health and school safety, and notably nothing about guns. If he were to say something about firearms, do you not think that that would yield far more members of his caucus to participate and perhaps get something more substantial done than this, which, though positive, feels incremental?
It would make a major difference. He still has members, there's no doubt about it, that I would guess half their caucus is not going to vote for anything when it comes to, and by the way, I call it gun responsibility or gun safety. But there are still a significant number of people who are still in the mix of looking at this. And I am the one that actually authored the bill after Parkland with Senator Hatch on putting some significant resources into school safety. Yeah, so I believe in that, but I think we all know this isn't just schools. It's happening in theaters. It's happening in grocery stores. Look at Buffalo, the dad going to buy a birthday cake for his son that never comes back. And so the thing that it runs through all of these shootings, including the 13 that happened over the weekend, are these guns that are in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. And that leads you to the red flag law idea. That leads you to the background checks. That leads you to the boyfriend loophole. And yes, that leads you to put some limits on these assault weapons. That, to me, is the thread that connects all of them. And yes, we can do more on school safety and, of course, mental health. That investment goes way beyond violent crime, what needs to be done. But the one thing, if you want to do something about people being gunned down in their classrooms and little girls with pictures of their communion dresses and their little green tennis shoes that they wore everywhere, well, then you better do something about guns.
Damn right.
Senator, we've talked for some time about antitrust legislation. You wrote a great book on antitrust. We've talked a good deal about it. I'm curious, what is the update? What is the progress of the American Innovation and Choice Online Act? I know that you're getting a lot of pushback. We're seeing more and more advertisements and a lot more. I'll just say, to me, it seems like just outright propaganda from these near monopolies saying, oh, my God, this would hurt American competition. This would hurt American technology. And the latest, this would hurt people of color. I mean, they're just coming out in full force. Ridiculous propaganda. Where are you right now on this push?
Well, as you know, Joe, this is the first time since the advent of the internet that we are advancing a competition bill when it comes to big tech, which says a lot right there. These companies are over trillion-dollar companies. They are monopolies. Google has a 90% market share on its platform. So what we're saying here is, yes, the Justice Department is looking at these monopolies. Yes, I think we should do something on mergers and the like, but that's not what this bill is about. This bill is a strongly bipartisan bill with Senator Grassley and Senator Graham and Senator Durbin and Cory Booker and Mark Warner and Josh Hawley and Mazie Hirono. I think Samantha Bee called it the Ocean's 11 of co-sponsors. And what the bill does is it says, if you're going to sell stuff on your own platforms, then you can't preference it over other competitive business products, because that's what they're doing. They're starting to buy thing after thing and basically outcompete, because they own the pipeline by which people are buying other competitors. That's not fair capitalism. That's when antitrust steps in. So we're, one, get an even playing field. Two, make sure you don't rip off by using non-public data like the luggage organizer company in Brooklyn with 4 employees who submitted their plans to Amazon, and the next thing you know, they rip it off and put it on Amazon Prime. This is out of Wall Street Journal reporting. So you can't do that. And the third thing is you can't require a bunch of small businesses to buy a bunch of stuff just for the privilege of getting near the top of the platform. So these are rules of the road to protect consumers and competitive businesses. And that's why it's gaining speed. And yes, they have shoved in just last week $21 million in an ad buy. They have thousands of lawyers and lobbyists. I have 2 lawyers working on this. They're really good. Chuck Grassley has 2. David Cicilline and Buck, I think, combined have 4. That's what we're dealing with, a strong bipartisan effort with a small and mighty crew that is taking them on. And I predict we're going to win this, but I have never seen anything like this. They are bullies. They're making stuff up, making things up left and right that aren't true.
I mean, let's be clear. I was just saying, let's be clear. I mean, as a conservative, I'm a conservative. I'm a free market guy. I believe in entrepreneurship. I want the government to be very careful in its regulatory schemes. But this is a pro-entrepreneur bill. This is a pro-small business bill. This is a pro-free market bill that actually allows small businesses, entrepreneurs, new people who want to enter into markets. This actually gives them the breathing space to do that without being crushed by monopolies.
Exactly. And they know it, and they're doing everything to fight it tooth and nail. But I am so proud of our co-sponsors. Senator Schumer has promised us a vote on this bill in the early summer, so that should be coming up quite soon. And I believe we're going to pass this. The House did an 18-month investigation that was bipartisan from the beginning about these gatekeeper companies. We don't want to destroy them. They're giving us great services. We just want to set rules of the road when it comes to competition. And other countries around the world are being much more aggressive than this. We're looking at this in a uniquely American way to be able to continue the innovation, but make very clear you've got to have competition in America. That's what built our country.